Daddy? The man lifted one feeble arm to touch the sobbing girl's head. Weakly, he began to cough, and in a wheezing whisper said something to the girl that no one else could hear. Some of the men and women turned their heads away then, at the shame of such a young thing having to see her father like that. Mothers covered their children's eyes. Fathers resolved to go home and hug their wives. But one child stood unnoticed in the crowd, unaccompanied. A boy, tanned and blond, about 15 years old, stood and stared at the scene in front of him. He had been there all along, had seen it all transpire. The crazy drunken man who had threatened his uncle. His uncle who had shot the crazy drunken man. And now the girl, sobbing over the prone, bloody figure. As the girl looked wildly around her, her arms still flung around her father, her tear-filled eyes met those of the boy. Their gazes locked, held a moment, until she squeezed her eyes shut in agony, her body racked by her weeping. The ambulance arrived. The crowd stepped back. Clayton Greenlee was pronounced dead at the scene as his daughter, still sobbing and screaming, was led away. The boy watched her go and felt the rush of guilt and shame of one who realizes that his kin has been the source of someone else's sorrow. In the coming days, the story would emerge of what had happened. Maggie Greenlee had been cheating on her no-good husband with Lawless Lawson. Clayton had somehow found out and gone after his wife's lover, the drink making him foolish and careless. As the days turned into weeks, the town thought less and less of the young girl who had watched her father die, and of her two brothers, who were also now down to one parent. The scandal had been the stuff of gossip on front porches after dinner, the characters reduced to curiosities. For wasn't Clayton just a pathetic drunk anyway? And wasn't Maggie, after all, just a cheating wife? And not a very friendly one at that. She had never really made an effort to get to know her neighbors when the Greenlees moved to Lupine, after all. And what did she expect, getting involved with a Stone King's member like that? No, it was sad all right. But somehow, people never went far enough to actually say it out loud. Hadn't they kind of had it coming?
Chapter 1. Seton, 15 years later. Some days it felt like everything was conspiring against me. I had just finished up my shift at the Cactus, a local bar near the college in our town, and I was looking forward to getting out of my work clothes and relaxing at home for the rest of the evening. Stretching my aching arms over my head, I turned down the hallway to the back office to collect my purse. Just as I opened the desk drawer where I had stuffed it, my phone buzzed in my back pocket. I took it out and read, "Sorry, C, can't pick you up tonight after work." I stared in disbelief at my phone screen, then sighed in frustration. It figured. I didn't even know why I was surprised anymore when Cal left me in the lurch. It happened more often than not. I swore softly under my breath. Why not? I waited a few seconds, not even sure if he'd bother replying. Then the phone buzzed in my hand again, and I read, "Club business, can't get away." Shoving my phone back into my pocket, I stifled a groan of irritation. Unbelievable. Not only was my brother not going to be picking me up like he promised he would, but he had my car to boot. And even worse than that, he was using it for just about the last thing I would have let him borrow it for if I'd known what he needed it for. But then, of course, I hadn't known, because he hadn't bothered to tell me. Typical. I walked out of the back office muttering to myself and closed the door behind me. Closing my eyes in frustration, I leaned back against the dark wood paneling in the back hall. I considered my options. It wasn't worth chewing Cal out via text over what a shit-for-brains he was being. I knew if I called him, he'd just let it go to voicemail. Frankly, there was really nothing I could do at the moment. This is the last time I let him borrow my car, I seethed to myself. Grumbling, I reached for my pocket and pulled out my phone again. I typed in the security code and texted him back. "Forget it, I'll get a ride home." A couple of minutes later...